So we are done with the first chapter. We have seen the basic concepts of stress, strain, and various linear changes, volumetric changes, and many number of numericals. Today we'll be starting the second chapter. So the shear force diagram, bending moment diagram, actually we are starting the concept of bending. So the first chapter regarding bending is shear force diagram, bending moment diagram. After this we'll be going with stresses in beams, and then we will be going with slope and deflection. So we will be completing these three chapters. That is the concept of bending completely. And why we are going with this thing is because in these three chapters you will be requiring a little amount of practice. So if you are completing a little bit early, so if you are going ahead and completing chapters, remaining previous grade questions, etc., wherever you have doubt, you can ask me in the classroom, or you can put it in the doubt solving option. Okay, doubt solving application. So we are going with the shear force diagram, bending moment diagram. So this chapter is completely based upon the concept of equilibrium. I hope everybody have clearly understood what is the concept of equilibrium. And we are going to take 2D4 systems only. So we will be applying three equations. Sigma fx is equal to 0, sigma fy 0, sigma mz 0. Using those, you will be getting the answers. Understood? Okay. So we are going with the shear force diagram, bending moment diagram. So in this, first of all, we'll see the types of supports and types of beams and all. Then we'll go into the main part of the chapter. That is the second one, shear force diagram, bending moment diagram drawing. And then we'll be going with the last and very small concept, that is beams with internal hinges. Okay. And in this, as you all know, that to draw shear force diagram, bending moment diagram, shortcuts are also very, very important. So I have observed that many faculties give n number of shortcuts, which out of which very few are very much required or useful. So I will be explaining in a better way. I will be cutting down all the shortcuts which are not at all required. I will be explaining both in the traditional way and also the shortcuts way. I mean, I will be making you people to know how to solve a question using a traditional method and also shortcut method. Because what happens is sometimes questions, if you see previous gate questions, few questions are in such a way that where shortcut is not at all valid. You have to do it in a completely traditional way. You should write down each and every step. So you should be knowing the complete method. Along with that, there are questions where you have to apply a shortcut. So wherever the shortcut is valid, if you are not using the shortcut and wasting your time, then that's not the correct way of solving the question. So I'll be making you people to know where you should use the shortcut and what shortcut you should be using, and where should not be. You should be going with a traditional method, because no shortcut will be valid there. Clear? So this chapter is going to be a very turning point, because whatever we're going to study after this, at least the coming two chapters, and also slope and also strain energy and resilience, that is the 9th chapter, is going to be dependent on this chapter itself, the second chapter itself. So it's a very important one. And if you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. Okay, so though it is silly or simple, kindly ask me and get it clear. Okay, so we are going ahead with the concept of bending. So first chapter is shear force diagram, bending moment diagram. So let's go into the definition of a beam. So beam in a general sense, the definition is nothing but the member which undergoes bending. So beam is the member which is nothing but the member which undergoes bending. So in a general sense here, I'm not giving you the technical definition X. So first of all, I'm giving you the general definition, that is beam is the member that undergoes bending. Okay, kindly write down the definition. Please do write down. Put the side heading as beam and write down. The member which undergoes bending is called as beam. Once it's over, please let me know. Okay, very good. Understand? Now, if you see a member as shown on the secondary screen, this member will undergo bending if a load is applied in this direction. That is perpendicular to the length here. Okay, so if you apply a load perpendicular to the length, so bending will happen. It's very obvious from the diagram itself. Okay, so we call the direction along which the load is applied as transverse direction, and the perpendicular direction as, the direction along which the length is there, especially, as longitudinal direction. So basically, in at a basic sense, a basic vocabulary level, the definition for longitudinal means the axis or the direction along the longest dimension. For example, you see the board. So board is having breadth or height like this, okay, and thickness is into the wall, and it is having length like this. So the longest dimension or longest axis is along this direction. So we call that as the longitudinal direction. Understand? If you take a notebook, whichever you are using to write down, you can understand which axis or which direction is the longitudinal direction. So please keep in mind, longitudinal direction means the axis along which the longest dimension is there. Okay, and what is the direction you take perpendicular to that direction is called as transverse direction. Okay, you can write down your own words if you want to copy your notebook. So longitudinal direction means the direction along which the longest dimension is there. Longitudinal direction means the direction along which the longest dimension of the component is there. Done? Okay, and you can write down any axis or any direction perpendicular to the longitudinal direction is called as transverse direction. So I hope from now you should not be having any you will not be having any confusion regarding what is the longitudinal direction and what is the transverse direction. Clear? Okay, so from the diagram we can see that if the load is acting along a transverse direction, we can say the component will undergo bending. So it's very easy to define bending, or how bending will happen, why bending will happen with respect to or because of the application of load. Okay, now let's look into the moments here, how moments will cause bending, or when moments will cause bending. If you have a component like this, so this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. This is m suffix x, this is m suffix y, and this is m suffix z. Okay, this is m suffix x, this is m suffix y, and this is m suffix z. Okay, now m suffix x means you've taken a member like this and you have applied a moment like this. So here the rotation, the moment is about the longitudinal axis. The moment is about the longitudinal axis. Understand? And here, if you take my, the moment is about the transverse axis. So here, this can cause bending. Understand? Or you can take in this way as well. So I'm causing bending to happen. So if the moment, that means if my thumb, if the moment is in such a way, the thumb is pointing in transverse direction, then that will cause bending. So here we see that if the moment is acting about transverse axis, it can cause bending. So if you see here, mz is also a transverse axis moment and my is also transverse axis moment, and here mx means, or here mx is actually a long moment about longitudinal axis. Here any doubt regarding these three things? Everyone clear about these things? Mx is moment about longitudinal axis, my is moment about transverse axis, and mz is also moment about transverse axis. Okay, so here mx will cause torsion, my and mz will cause, my and mz will cause bending. So we understood two things now. That is, if the load is acting along transverse axis, bending will happen. If the moment is acting about transverse axis, then also bending will happen. Understand? So bending is a phenomenon that will happen when loads or moments are acting along transverse axis or about transverse axis respectively. Okay. Now we can give the definition of beam as the member which experiences loads in transverse axis or moments about transverse axis. That's the correct definition, or technical or standard definition for the concept of beam. Clear? You can copy this definition of beam here. The general definition is for our understanding purpose, and the technical definition is to build up the concept further. You can copy the diagram on the board as well. It can give you the clarity. I would like to show you some pictures of beams to clear one very big misunderstanding, that beam should always be horizontal, column should always be vertical. There is no strict statement like that. Understand? So your beam can be both horizontal and vertical. Okay, and your column can also be both horizontal and vertical. Okay, so the definition of beam or column is completely given based upon the way the loads are acting or moments are acting. That's all. We'll come to the column later. Right now we are concerned about bending only, or beam only. So the beam means it should experience load or moment about transverse axis or along transverse axis. That's all. Yeah. So if you see these pictures, you can understand that aeroplane wing is an example of a beam, because it experiences loads due to wind, due to engine's weight, etc. in transverse direction. So it will undergo bending. So it's nothing but a beam. And also if you take a cell phone tower, telecom tower, so that will be experiencing bending due to winds and all. Okay. But here if you see, the Airplane wing is a horizontal beam, but cell phone tower or any big pole is actually a vertical beam. Clear? So please write down a note point. So beam can be both horizontal and vertical. Beam can be both horizontal and vertical. Write down. And you can write down examples also. So is it done, everyone? Beam can be both horizontal and vertical. Example of horizontal beam is airplane wing. Example of vertical beam is cell phone tower. Okay, good. Let's go ahead. Now to support a beam, we will be using different types of supports. And in fact, in beams, the type of support is very, very important. The way the beam is bending is dependent on primarily the types of supports we are using. Usage of the same load on different types of beams which are having different supports will cause different way of bending. That means if you have two similar dimensions beams, length, breadth, height, everything is same, but the types of supports you are used is different with respect to this thing and this thing. So though you apply same load in both the cases, it will cause different way of bending. Understand? And the way you solve for anything, stresses, slopes, deflections, etc., everything will be different. Okay, that's why you should know the types of supports which are used to support bending. So there are three major types of supports which we use. They are roller support, hinge or pin support, and then fixed support. Okay, understand? So what is the significance, or what is the application, or what is the way in which the roller support will be allowing the beam to bend? Let's look into that one. If you take a roller support, so roller support means some roller will be there. So if this is the beam, so roller support means it will have this type of setup. So the beam is not, if that means in this diagram case, you can understand that the beam, I'm putting the beam in shaded way. So the beam is actually kept in horizontal position here, and this roller support is used here. So here in this scenario, the beam is not allowed to move vertically. Okay, so in this case, the beam is not allowed to move vertically. If you are taking such type of, if you are taking this type of beam, so here the beam is not allowed to move horizontally. Okay, so it cannot move horizontally this side or this side. Clear? Understood? Same way here also, this cannot move vertically downside or upside. It will not be allowing it that. But it is free to move in one particular direction. So here in this case, it is free to move due to the application of load in horizontal direction. In this case, the beam is free to move along vertical direction. Understand? And other thing is here, the beam is free to rotate about this point like this. So here also the beam is free to rotate about this point. Clear? So whenever you take a roller support, so you will be having one reaction force. So mostly you'll be dealing with these type of beams. So always whenever you see a roller support, you'll be putting Ry. So here we'll be having reaction force like this. So I'm not putting Ry here to not to confuse you, or Rx not to confuse you here. So please remember that you'll be having reaction force in one direction, and we are putting the reaction force or restrictive force because it is free to move in horizontal direction, so we don't need to, that means there is no restriction at all. Clear? So we'll not be putting any restrictive force in this direction, or Rx in this direction, or for Ry in this direction, or Ry for this particular diagram. And here the member is free to rotate about the point, so we'll not be putting any restrictive or reactive moment. That means he said the statement that vertical deflection is prevented. So that is the case for this example. If you take this example, horizontal deflection is avoided. In the same way, if you are going with the second one, that is hinged support. So in this case, what happens is the member, the beam, is restricted not to move in both the directions, x and y. So here, if you take the free body diagram, you will be having both Rx and also Ry. But here also, the member is free to rotate about this point. So there will be no reaction moment. Okay. Now if you go to the last one, fixed support. So fixed support is very, very prominent. So maybe the room in which you are sitting, the beam will be having fixed support only. So if you take the fixed support, the beam will have reaction force Rx, the beam will have reaction force Ry, and also it will have reaction moment m naught. But here what happening is, the beam is not allowed to freely rotate about this point. The beam is not allowed to freely rotate about this point here. Understood? Clear? So whenever you see such type of beam, such type of support or respect to support, you should be putting the respect to free body diagram. Clear? If you are putting, or if you are missing one of the force Rx in this hinged one, or reaction moment here, or anything, if you are missing any one force that should be there, you will be getting wrong answer. Understand? Clear? So you should be very careful enough in identifying all the reaction forces or moments whenever you see the respect to support. Clear? Kindly copy this. So based upon the combination of supports we are using, we can have fixed support, we can use a combination of hinged plus roller, etc. We have different types of beams, and few beams are given some standard names. So you can see on the screen, many names are already familiar to you people. So I want you people to copy those beams or copy the diagrams, and after that I will explain you regarding each and every beam. Kindly copy that. Meanwhile, I will draw the free body diagram of each and every beam so that you can copy after this. Okay. So, anyways, you guys go on copying. You can draw these free body diagrams on your own as well, but still I am drawing it here. I would like to explain one important thing, that's why I have drawn it completely. You can copy this as well, and let me know once it's over. Okay, listen carefully everyone. We have 6 types of beams here. So they're having different reaction forces, unknown reaction forces, unknown reaction moments. If you see the first row, it's having 3 unknowns, 2 unknowns. It's having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unknowns. It's having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 unknowns, and here you're having 3 plus 1, 4 unknowns here. Okay. Now if you see the equilibrium equations, number of equilibrium equations we have for equilibrium condition for any beam, we have 3 equations: sigma fx is equal to 0, sigma fy 0, sigma mz 0. So we have 3 equations. Understand? So 3 equations you have means maximum we can evaluate 3 unknowns. Okay. So if you have less than or equal to 3 unknowns, we can solve that loading condition and get the answers, right? So if you see the first row here, in all these 3 cases, there are less than or equal to 3 unknowns. So all these 3 are statically determinate numericals. Understand? So these 3 are statically determinate numericals, and below 3 are and these 3 are statically indeterminate. Statically indeterminate numericals. Understand? Okay. In this subject of SON, or at least in this particular chapter, we are going to deal with only statically indeterminate type of beams only. Because we have to apply equilibrium condition, we have to get the answer and go ahead with finding out shear force diagram, minimum diagram. Clear? And we will be going through this statically indeterminate type of numerical in 8th or 7th chapter. Okay? But civil people will be going through these remaining statically indeterminate type of beams in the subject of structural analysis. Okay? So they will be studying about many terms like, or many concepts like statical indeterminacy, kinematic indeterminacy, many things, and you'll be going ahead. Understand? Clear? So as far as SOM subject is concerned, we'll be closing at the level where we'll be discussing, we'll be closing at the level where statically indeterminate numericals are there. Okay everyone? Understood? So in one of the non-gate examination, a question was asked where a continuous beam is a statically determinate beam, statically indeterminate beam, or none of these, or etc. Something like that a question came. So you can understand that a continuous beam is actually a statically indeterminate type of beam. So you guys know that to solve these statically indeterminate type of numericals, we will be requiring compatibility conditions as well. So we will use various compatibility conditions to evaluate all the unknown reaction forces and moments. Clear? So this, to deal with this question, we have the compatibility condition which can be applied by the knowledge which we gain in this chapter, that is slope and deflection concept. So using slope and deflection concept, we can generate the compatibility condition and get the answer. That's why we'll be taking this example. That's it. So remaining and all, civil people will be going through them in the bit of structural analysis, and mechanical people will not be dealing with those statically indeterminate type of numericals. Okay, let's go ahead. So we have different types of loads. So here I'm showing you the major 3 types of loads we're gonna deal with in this chapter. So first one is a point load. So point load means the load is acting at the single point along the length of the beam. So uniformly distributed load beams, that means the first one you can see on the picture. So the beams, the load is uniformly distributed along that length. So here you can see that the intensity of the load is same. Okay. So if the intensity is going on varying along the length, we call it as varying distributed load or varyingly distributed load on the beam. So here you can see the last one on the beam, you can see that the intensity is going on varying along the length. So we can have other types of loads where intensity is going on varying in other fashion as well. So here we see in the first diagram, the intensity is varying as a constant, intensity is not at all changing. Okay, so in the second diagram or the last diagram, you can see the intensity is going on increasing in a linear way. Okay, so you can have in any scenario. It's very clear from the diagram itself, right? Cantilever beam means you'll be having a one fixed support. Simple support beam means one fixed support, one hinged support, one roller support. Overhanging beam means you'll be having 2 roller supports. We can have one hinge and one roller as well, but we cannot have 2 hinges. Okay, if you take a continuous beam, we'll be having 1 hinge and remaining all are rollers. We'll be having more than 1 roller. That's very obvious in the diagram. Okay, and if you take a fixed beam, we'll be having fixed supports. Okay, and if you take a cantilever simply support beam, to a cantilever beam, we'll be putting a roller support. That's it. Clear, Sanjay? Okay, understood? So we are coming with this types of loads. So uniformly distributed load means intensity will be constant. Uniformly varying or varying distributed load means intensity will be going on increasing in a linear way, and we can have a beam like this, or we can have a load on a beam like this, where intensity instead of varying in a linear in a constant way, we can have a scenario where intensity is varying in this way as well. So according to some curve. So here, based upon this line, I can say the intensity is constant, intensity is not varying, but with respect to the way in which the line is going on varying, we can say intensity is going on varying along the length. Understand? Clear? Okay. Let me see. Other people, you can copy the names of these 3 loads here, or types of loads we're going to deal with in this chapter. How we are giving the name. Okay, and whenever a name is given in a question, immediately what type of diagram we should take? It's our actual way of it's our objective of learning this concept here. So if you have simply support beam means we directly mean a default way that 1 hinge, 1 roller. That's it. If you take 1 hinge and if you take both the hinges, it's wrong. If you take both the rollers, it's also wrong again. Understand? So in that way, we are actually learning it here. So coming to continuous beam, if you are changing rollers. So one strict thing is, in a continuous beam, we will be having 1 hinge, remaining all are rollers, and we should have more than 1 roller because it should be different with respect to simple support beam. And if we are comparing these two, the very big difference which is coming into existence is, it is a statically determinate beam and statically determinate type of beam. So to make it statically determinate, we should have, or to make it different with respect to this thing, we should have more than 1 roller. Okay, so if you have a scenario like this, only 2 rollers are there, 1 hinge is there. Again, it's also statically determinate only, we can take it as continuous as well. Okay, understand? So if you want to go beyond anything beyond this, you will be learning in structural analysis, because it's anyways, continuous beam is coming under statically indeterminate type of beams here. Okay, anyways, we'll go ahead into our concept. So wherever you think, if anything is missing as far as Swami is concerned, you can let me know. Clear? So if you are removing some supports and putting other supports, we will be eventually changing the type of the beam. So automatically our deflections, everything will change. So again, we are coming back to the condition of equilibrium or static equilibrium. Anyways, we are dealing with beams which are at rest. They are not experiencing any velocity. So we are going to deal with we are going to apply this condition of static equilibrium. So again, we are coming back to those equations. Just to revise, sigma fx 0, sigma fy 0, sigma mz is equal to 0. If you apply those three equations, you will be getting the unknown reaction forces and moments. Okay. And one important thing, keep in mind, I don't know these unknown reaction forces and moments. I mean, I don't know their magnitude and I don't know their direction as well. So here if you see Rx, Ry, M naught, I just took arbitrary direction. I know some values are there for them. Sometimes mathematical calculation or after solving those three equations, you might get some values to be 0 as well. Okay, mostly in many of the questions you'll be getting Rx as 0 because we'll be applying loads in transverse direction. Very rarely, in very a few examples we'll be observing questions having forces in length direction. So in most of the cases we'll be getting Rx is equal to 0. So what I would like to convey here is we might get Rx or any force is equal to 0, and that means we don't know the magnitudes of forces, we don't know the magnitude of we don't know the directions as well. So what I'm doing is, let the calculations give the value, I mean the magnitude and also the direction. So arbitrarily I'm just taking the directions here. So Rx, Ry, just took in one particular direction. So the equations sigma fx, sigma fy, sigma mz is equal to 0, they give us the value of those forces and moments along with magnitude with direction. Understand? So these also Ay, By, obviously, like if you are applying a force in downward direction, obviously Ay, By will be upward direction only. So sometimes your approach or sometimes your thinking about the direction of the force will be correct, sometimes it will be wrong, but still that's okay because your mathematical calculations or application of equilibrium equations will give you the values, I mean the magnitudes along with signs there. So you take in any direction, you can get the answer correctly. If you are getting negative sign, that means whatever the direction you chosen is wrong. You should take opposite direction there. So I took this M naught to be anti-clockwise in a default way. Okay. So after doing calculation, I'm getting, let's assume the answer M naught value is equal to minus 10 Newton meter. That means I have taken opposite direction to the actual or correct direction. So I'll be taking in clockwise sense, opposite of the taken initial direction. Understood? That's all. Let's see one example to understand about how to apply the condition of equilibrium here. So because in every question, the first step and first and foremost step, in fact the first and foremost step is application of equilibrium condition. So you should be able to get all the unknown reaction force and moments, then only we can go ahead with drawing shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. Okay. Kindly copy the question and get the answer. So the correct answer is A here. So very simple question. So those people who haven't got the answer, you can look at here. So I'm taking the free body diagram. So free body diagram means you will be taking out the beam and you will be identifying all the forces, upright forces and also unknown forces. And you're going to apply the condition of equilibrium to get the values of unknown reaction forces and also moments. So here at P, there is no, there is a hinge. So we'll be having reaction force Px, we'll be having reaction force Py, and here we'll be having only Qy because it's a roller support. And at the center, there is a moment, I'm taking it as M naught, that is 1 kilonewton meter. So total length is equal to given as 1 meter, and this is given as 0.5 and this is given as 0.5 meter. So if you apply equilibrium conditions, so first equation is sigma fx is equal to 0. This gives you Px value is equal to 0. Now if you take sigma fy is equal to 0, this gives you Py plus Qy value is equal to 0. Sigma mz is equal to 0. So I can take moment about any point because the whole body is in equilibrium. The whole body is not rotating at all. So it is not rotating about any point. So I can take rotation about any point equal to 0. So I'll take about this point because more unknowns are there, Px and Py. So if I take about this point, so Qy is there. Qy is giving rise to rotation, that is Qy into 1 anti-clockwise. So Qy into 1 anti-clockwise, and moment is there already which is giving rise to clockwise rotation. So minus 1 kilonewton meter is equal to 0. So here meter will cancel. So Qy will come out to be 1 kilonewton. This gives you, substituting this in this equation will get you Py is equal to minus 1 kilonewton. So we got the value of Py to be negative. That means the arbitrary direction we took is wrong. So the correct way of representation of reaction forces on this beam is like this. So Py is acting downside. So that is 1 kilonewton. And Qy is acting upside only because it came out to be positive itself. So 1 kilonewton. And we have clockwise moment, that is M naught, as 1 kilonewton meter. Understood? So this is the first step. I hope everybody have got the answer. Very simple question. You guys can go ahead with another question just for your practice. Okay, just a warm up regarding equilibrium condition before going into the actual part of the chapter. Okay, so kindly copy this text. Diagram is there in the next slide. Options are there in the subsequent slide. We'll go into that one. So here, it's the picture is actually a screenshot. That's why that page number watermark is coming. So please remember that the point A, that is the bottom support of the beam or the member, is actually at the center. So that side 1.5. So this side also 1.5. I'll give the options in the next slide. So kindly once let me know you're done when you're done copying this diagram. Yeah, you have to get reaction forces at the both the supports. I'll show the next slide. Please wait. Sakshan Kumar, you have to get reaction forces at both the supports A and B. So these are the options. You can find out the best appropriate answer. You can think smartly and get the answer fast as well, because you don't have to do all these 3 steps. Okay, so it's simple because you can get the answer by by looking at the options. So here, if you see the free body diagram of the member is like this. It is 1.5 meter. It's also 1.5 meter. So this is A. We have AX. We have AY, and here we have BX. So BX means, according to the question, it is RBH. So this is RAV, and this is nothing but RAH. So if you see the loading condition, so load applied is P. So if you apply the equation, it comes out to be only one force is there. Sorry, 2 forces are there. So RAH minus RBH is equal to 0. That means RAH value, RBH value, both are same. If you see the options here, only one option is having, only one option. So only one option is showing that RAH, RBH should be same. RAH and RBH should be same. There is nothing but option number D. Like that, you can give the answer as D itself. Okay. So if you write down the other equations, I'm just writing down the equations, not solving them. So sigma Fi 0 means P is acting downside, RAV is acting upside. So RAV minus P is equal to 0. This gives you RAV is equal to P itself. Now if you take MZ is equal to 0, so I'm taking moment about this point because more number of unknowns are passing through this point. So P into 1.5 anti-clockwise and BX into the whole height, that is nothing but given in the question as 6 plus 2, 8. So plus RBH into 8 is equal to 0. This gives you RBH is equal to minus 1.5 into P by 8. So it's coming out to be negative, means whatever direction we took is wrong. So you should be taking in opposite sense here. And substituting here, we can get that RAH is also equal to 1.5 into P. Okay, RAH value is equal to RBH. So RAH is also should be taken in opposite sense. Clear? Like this, the answer for this question is D. So let's enter into the main part of this chapter, drawing shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. Yeah. So we'll go step by step. So please remember that initially it will look like that you understand, there's nothing extra to learn there. Okay. But slowly as you go ahead, you will be finding out the varieties of questions, varieties of numericals where you have to think twice. That means whatever you know will not be sufficient enough to make you go ahead. So please be patient enough and listen carefully. So whatever I say, you should be doing it. I mean, whatever, if I'm asking you to solve a question or example, I want you people to solve it. Unless and until you are solving along with me, you will not be actually learning in the classroom. Understand? And this is the chapter which you can't learn on your own. So you should be learning from me. Clear? So let's go ahead step by step. Kindly listen properly. So first of all, we should understand what exactly is the definition of shear force diagram and bending moment diagram. Then we'll go ahead into the main part of this chapter. Okay. Put the heading as shear force diagram and bending moment diagram.